I never thought I'd be the kind of man standing in a bank lobby with sweaty palms and a racing heart. But there I was, holding my dead grandfather's bank card like it was made of gold. The bank manager, Mr. Bennett, had just typed something into his computer, and I watched his face drain of all color. He looked at me, then back at the screen, then at me again. "Sir," he said quietly, his voice shaking just a little. "This account has been active since 1948. My legs felt weak. The lobby suddenly felt too hot, too bright. Mr. Bennett gestured toward his office. "Please, come with me. We need to discuss this privately." I followed him, my mind spinning. 1948. That was the year my grandfather came back from the war. But let me back up. Let me tell you how I ended up in that bank in the first place. 3 months ago, I was sitting in a courtroom watching my entire life get torn apart. The judge was reading out the divorce settlement, and every word felt like a punch to my stomach. My ex-wife, Veronica, got the house, both cars, the savings account, and worst of all, primary custody of our kids, Lily and Owen. I got supervised visitation every other weekend, and a mountain of debt. Sitting next to Veronica was Bradley Patterson, her lawyer. Well, he was supposed to be her lawyer, but somewhere during the divorce process, he'd also become her boyfriend. Now he sat there with his arm resting on the back of her chair, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. He looked at me and smirked. Actually smirked. Then he leaned over and whispered something in Veronica's ear that made her laugh. The judge's gavel came down with a bang that echoed through the courtroom. Divorce granted. Just like that, everything I'd worked for over the past decade was gone. The house I built with my own hands, the cars I'd saved for, my kids, who I'd rocked to sleep every night when they were babies, all gone. I walked out of that courthouse alone, carrying only a duffel bag with my clothes. Oh, and one other thing, my grandfather's old leather wallet. My lawyer had managed to keep it out of the settlement because it had no monetary value. If only we'd known. That night, I checked into the Sunset Motel on the edge of town. The room smelled like old cigarettes and cleaning chemicals. The bed squeaked when I sat down. The wallpaper was peeling in the corners. This was my new home. I couldn't sleep, so I emptied out my grandfather's wallet, looking at it properly for the first time in years. Inside was a single bank card, old and worn, with faded numbers and a name printed on it. W. COAE, member since 1948. My grandfather William gave me this wallet 15 years ago, right before he died. I was 20 years old and thought I knew everything. He'd held my hand, his grip surprisingly strong for a dying man, and said, "Keep this safe, boy. You'll know when you need it." I never understood what he meant. Grandpa William was just a simple factory worker who lived in a tiny apartment. He didn't have money or property or anything valuable. Just this old wallet with an ancient bank card inside. I turned the card over in my hands, wondering if there was maybe $20 or $30 in that old account, enough to buy groceries for a week. I was down to my last $47. And I'd been fired from my job 3 weeks ago after missing too much work during the divorce. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. It was a photo of Lily and Owen playing in the backyard of my house, the house I built. Bradley was pushing Owen on the swing set I'd constructed with my own hands last summer. My 5-year-old son was laughing, his little legs pumping in the air. The message underneath read, "They're calling him Dad now. V." I stared at that photo until my vision blurred. My hands started shaking, not with sadness anymore, with rage. Pure, burning rage. I looked down at the old bank card in my other hand. Grandpa's voice echoed in my memory. "You'll know when you need it." I needed it now. The next morning, I drove my beat-up truck to First National Bank downtown. I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Even if there was just $50 in that account, it was $50 more than I had. I had no idea that walking through those bank doors would change everything. The young teller at the bank looked at my grandfather's card like I'd just handed her a dinosaur bone. She was maybe 22, with perfect makeup and a name tag that read, Ashley. She turned the card over in her hands, squinting at the faded numbers. Sir, this card is really old, she said, stating the obvious. I'm not even sure our system can read it. She tried swiping it through her card reader. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. Her cheeks turned pink with embarrassment. Let me get my supervisor, she said, disappearing through a door behind the counter. I stood there feeling like an idiot. The other customers in line were staring at me. A woman in a business suit checked her watch impatiently. I wanted to disappear into the floor. A woman in her 40s came out, wearing a dark blue suit and glasses. She took the card from Ashley and examined it carefully. Her eyebrows went up when she saw the date. This is a pre-digital account, she said, more to herself than to me. I need to get Mr. Bennett. He's been here longer than anyone. He might know how to access this. She walked toward the back offices while I waited, shifting my weight from foot to foot. The business suit woman gave up and went to another teller. I didn't blame her. Meanwhile, across town in my old kitchen, Veronica was having breakfast with Bradley. I know this because she loved posting everything on social media, and I was weak enough to still check her accounts. She sat at the kitchen table I'd refinished, with my own hands, scrolling through her phone while Bradley read the newspaper. He looked perfectly comfortable in my chair, drinking coffee from my favorite mug. Nathan's supervised visitation is this weekend, Veronica said, not looking up from her phone. Bradley folded his newspaper with sharp, precise movements. You know, I've been thinking. The kids are adjusting so well now. Maybe we should file to reduce his visitation to once a month. Less disruption for them. Veronica nodded. That makes sense. They do seem calmer when he's not constantly coming around. In the doorway, 7-year-old Lily stood holding a drawing she'd made. It showed a stick figure man with Daddy written above it in careful letters. She'd drawn hearts all around him. Mommy, look what I made, Lily said softly. Not now, sweetie, Veronica said without glancing up. Mommy and Bradley are talking. Go play. Lily's face fell. She clutched her drawing and disappeared back upstairs. Back at the bank, Mr. Bennett finally emerged from his office. He was distinguished looking, maybe 58, with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He had the air of someone who'd seen everything in his 30-plus years of banking. I stood up straighter, trying to look respectable in my wrinkled shirt and old jeans. Sir, I'm sorry to bother you. My grandfather left me this card, and I just wanted to see if there's anything in the account. I'm not trying to cause trouble or anything. Mr. Bennett took the card and studied it with the careful attention of an art expert examining a painting. William Cole, he read aloud. Come with me, please. His office was old-fashioned, with dark wood furniture and leather chairs. He pulled out a thick ledger book from a locked cabinet. An actual book, not a computer file. I didn't even know banks still used those. He flipped through pages that looked like they might crumble into dust. His finger traced down columns of names until he found it. William Cole. Account opened April 1948. He typed something into his computer using a special access code I couldn't see. The computer made old whirring sounds, taking forever to load. Modern technology, meeting ancient records. I watched Mr. Bennett's face change. His eyes widened. His mouth opened slightly. All the color drained from his cheeks, leaving him pale as paper. Sir, he said slowly, like he was afraid the words might explode if he said them too fast. This account has been active since 1948. It's been generating compound interest for 77 years. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Compound interest. for 77 years. I did quick math in my head, but the numbers were too big, too impossible. Mr. Bennett turned his computer screen toward me. The number on the screen made my brain stop working. I blinked, looked again. The number didn't change. $47 million. My phone rang, shattering the moment. I looked at the screen with shaking hands. My lawyer. "Nathan, I have bad news," he said when I answered. "Veronica and Bradley just filed paperwork to reduce your visitation to once a month. The hearing is in 2 days." I stared at the computer screen, at that impossible number, then at my phone, then back at the screen. Everything was about to change. I sat frozen in that leather chair, staring at the number on Mr. Bennett's computer screen. $47 million. The numbers looked fake, like someone had photoshopped them onto the screen as a joke. But Mr. Bennett's pale face told me this was very real. The original deposit was $50,000 in 1948. Mr. Bennett explained, his voice steady despite his shocked expression. That was an enormous sum back then. It's been collecting compound interest ever since, completely untouched. Not a single withdrawal in 77 years. I couldn't speak. My grandfather, who lived in a one-bedroom apartment and wore the same 3 shirts on rotation, had $50,000 in 1948. Where did he get that kind of money? "We'll need to verify your identity and your grandfather's death certificate, Mr. Bennett continued, pulling out forms. "But based on the documentation your grandfather left with us, you're the sole beneficiary." He was very specific about that. He slid a sealed envelope across the desk. It was yellowed with age, and my name was written on it in my grandfather's shaky handwriting. "He left this letter to be given to you when you accessed the account." My hands trembled as I opened it. The paper inside was thin, fragile. The letter was dated 3 weeks before Grandpa William died. "Dear Nathan," it began. "If you're reading this, then life has knocked you down hard. I'm sorry I won't be there to help you stand back up, but I can give you the tools to do it yourself." I kept reading, my eyes blurring with tears. I wasn't just a factory worker boy. During World War II, I was part of a classified intelligence unit. We recovered stolen Nazi gold and assets from hidden locations across Europe. It was dangerous work that I could never talk about. After the war, the U.S. government gave me a finder's fee for my role in recovering millions in stolen funds. I put $50,000 into this account and never touched it. I lived simply so no one would ever ask questions. My grandfather was a war hero, a real one, and I never knew. "I want you to have this when life knocks you down," the letter continued, "because I know you're strong enough to get back up with the right tools. Money doesn't make a man, Nathan, but it gives a good man the power to fight back. Use it wisely. Make them remember they messed with the wrong family." I sat in that office and cried like I hadn't cried since the divorce. Mr. Bennett quietly left the room to give me privacy. When I finally pulled myself together, Mr. Bennett returned with temporary access papers and a new debit card that would arrive in 3 days. I walked out of that bank in a complete daze, clutching my grandfather's letter like a lifeline. In my truck, I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, just staring at nothing. Then I called my lawyer back. "Tom, about that custody hearing in 2 days," I said. "Money is no longer an issue. I need you to prepare the best case possible. Hire investigators if you need to. I don't care what it costs." There was silence on the other end. "Nathan, what happened? This morning you could barely afford my retainer." "My grandfather left me something," I said simply. "Can you do it or not?" Yes, absolutely. I'll get started right now." That same evening, Veronica and Bradley sat in an expensive restaurant downtown, celebrating. Bradley raised his wine glass, the red liquid catching the candlelight. "To the complete defeat of Nathan Cole," he said with a satisfied smile. Veronica clinked her glass against his and laughed. I almost felt bad for him in that courtroom. He looked so pathetic with that duffel bag. Don't waste your sympathy, Bradley said, cutting into his steak. He made this too easy. No fight in him at all. Speaking of which, I've been thinking, that old truck of his, the one registered in his grandfather's name? I think we can argue it's actually community property. We could sell it and put the money toward our Bahamas wedding. They had no idea what was coming. Over the next 2 days, I worked quietly. I hired private investigators to dig into Bradley's background. I rented a proper 2-bedroom apartment and furnished it, making sure Lily and Owen each had their own rooms with their favorite colors and toys. I bought new clothes and got a haircut. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a different man than the one who'd left that courtroom 3 months ago. The night before the custody hearing, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my new bed, in my new apartment, holding my grandfather's letter. My phone buzzed at 11, a text from Veronica. Don't bother showing up tomorrow. Bradley already talked to the judge's office. You're done. I read it twice, then deleted it. I picked up my grandfather's letter and read the last line again. Make them remember they messed with the wrong family. Tomorrow, they would remember. The courtroom was cold. I sat at my table wearing my new suit, watching Bradley present his case to the judge. He stood there in his expensive clothes, confident and smooth, painting me as a disaster. Your Honor, Mr. Cole is currently unemployed and was living in a motel as recently as last week, Bradley said, gesturing toward me like I was evidence in a crime scene. He's unstable, financially destitute, and frankly, a danger to the children's sense of security. Veronica took the stand next. She looked perfect, as always, in a navy dress and pearls. She testified that I'd missed 2 supervised visits with the kids. What she didn't mention was that Bradley had scheduled those visits during job interviews he somehow knew about. The judge wrote notes, nodding sympathetically. The children are thriving in their current environment, Veronica said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Bradley has been a wonderful male role model for them. Stable, present, loving, everything they need. I sat there taking it all in, my hands folded calmly on the table. Bradley kept glancing at me, probably wondering why I wasn't falling apart. His smirk was still there, but smaller now. Something was making him nervous. Then my new lawyer stood up. Marcus Fletcher wasn't the exhausted public defender I'd had before. He was one of the best family law attorneys in the state, wearing a suit that cost more than Bradley's, carrying a briefcase that looked like it meant business. Bradley's smirk disappeared completely. Your Honor, Marcus began, Mr. Cole has secured stable housing in a 2-bedroom apartment. Each child has their own room, decorated in their favorite colors with their preferred toys. He also has a job offer from TechCore Solutions, starting next month at a substantial salary. He slid documents across to the judge. Bradley shifted in his seat. But that's not why we're here today, Marcus continued, his voice growing harder. We're here because Mr. Patterson violated basic attorney ethics by starting a romantic relationship with his client before her divorce was finalized. He projected photos on the courtroom screen, text messages, dates and timestamps. Bradley and Veronica at restaurants, hotels, holding hands in parking lots. All of it 3 months before I even knew about the divorce. Bradley's face turned red. Veronica's hand flew to her mouth. This violated conflict of interest rules, Marcus said. It may have invalidated portions of the divorce settlement. Mr. Patterson used his position as Mrs. Cole's attorney to manipulate the outcome while pursuing a personal relationship with her. Objection! Bradley jumped to his feet. This is outrageous and unfounded. Is it? Marcus pulled out more documents. We have emails where you coached Mrs. Cole on hiding marital assets, messages where you joked about destroying Mr. Cole and taking everything he loves. You encouraged her to lie about Mr. Cole's income to inflate child support payments. The judge's expression shifted from sympathetic to angry. She leaned forward, studying the documents Marcus had provided. You also charged Mrs. Cole excessive legal fees while simultaneously planning to marry her, Marcus continued. You profited from destroying this family while pretending to provide objective legal counsel. Bradley tried to object again, but the judge held up her hand. Mr. Patterson, I'm calling a recess. I want to see both attorneys in my chambers. Now, during the 15-minute recess, I finally saw my kids. Lily and Owen were in the hallway with a social worker. The moment Lily saw me, she broke free and ran. Owen followed. Both of them, crashing into my arms. Daddy, Lily sobbed into my shirt. I missed you so much. I held them tight, breathing in the smell of their hair, feeling their small bodies against mine. Owen pulled back and showed me a bruise on his arm, purple and yellow. I fell, he said, but something in his voice didn't sound right. Bradley pushed him, Lily whispered. Owen spilled juice on his carpet, and Bradley got really mad. My blood ran cold. Veronica rushed over, trying to pull them away, but they clung to me. The social worker watched everything, writing notes on her clipboard. When court resumed, the judge delivered her decision. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the tension like a knife. Based on the evidence of ethical violations, I'm ordering a complete review of the divorce settlement. Mr. Patterson, you're being reported to the State Bar Association. All of your motions are denied. Mr. Cole is granted temporary 50-50 custody pending investigation. Veronica burst into tears. Bradley stormed out of the courtroom, his expensive shoes echoing on the marble floor. That evening, I drove Lily and Owen to our new apartment. They were excited about their rooms, running from one to the other, touching everything. Daddy, are you rich now? Lily asked quietly, while I tucked her into bed. Mommy told Bradley you're poor, and that's why we couldn't see you. I knelt down beside her bed and brushed hair from her face. Baby girl, Daddy has enough. Enough to take care of you, enough to fight for you, and enough to make sure nobody ever pushes us around again. She smiled and closed her eyes. In Owen's room, I looked at that bruise again. Tomorrow, we were seeing a doctor. Something wasn't right, and I was finally in a position to protect my children. 3 months passed like a dream I was afraid to wake up from. Bradley Patterson was disbarred. The investigation found he'd been running the same scheme on multiple clients, convincing vulnerable people to pay excessive fees while he manipulated their cases for his own benefit. He faced criminal charges for fraud and ethical violations. His Mercedes got repossessed. His mansion went into foreclosure. Everything he'd built on lies came crashing down. Veronica agreed to a new settlement. She didn't have much choice after the investigation revealed her perjury about our assets and income. I got primary custody of Lily and Owen. She got them every other weekend and some holidays. Fair, but finally fair to me. The doctor's examination of Owen revealed exactly what I feared. The bruise came from Bradley grabbing him roughly when he spilled juice. Lily finally told the truth about how Bradley would yell at them, call them baggage, tell them they were ruining his life with their mother. Child Protective Services investigated and found months of emotional abuse that Veronica had either ignored or been too scared of Bradley to stop. That sealed everything. I bought back my house, the one I built with my own hands, board by board. Veronica was forced to sell it as part of the settlement, and I made sure I was the buyer. I paid cash, walked through the front door, and felt like I could breathe again. I renovated everything. New paint covered the walls where Bradley's expensive art had hung. New furniture replaced the pieces he'd chosen. I erased every trace of him and those painful months. Lily got her dream bedroom, painted purple with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Owen got his, blue with dinosaur decorations everywhere. But I didn't just think about us. I remembered sitting in that motel room with $47 to my name, holding my grandfather's card, and feeling like the world had crushed me. I remembered other men in the courthouse hallways, who looked just as broken as I'd felt. I established the William Cole Foundation. It provides legal assistance and financial support to fathers going through unfair custody battles. We hire investigators and lawyers to help men who are being destroyed by the same system that almost destroyed me. In 3 months, we've helped 47 families, 47 fathers, who got to keep fighting for their kids. Veronica never apologized. Not once. But she followed the custody agreement perfectly, probably terrified of losing the limited time she still had with the kids. She moved into a modest apartment after Bradley's legal troubles bankrupted her. She returned to selling real estate, working long hours to rebuild her life. I could have pushed for more punishment. I could have made her life miserable. But Lily and Owen still loved their mother, and I wouldn't take that away from them the way she tried to take me away. My fight was never with her, really. It was with the system that let people like Bradley exist. On a sunny Saturday morning, I stood in my backyard watching Lily and Owen play. I'd rebuilt the swing set, stronger and better than before. Owen pumped his legs, trying to go higher. Lily read a book in the grass, her favorite spot. I held my grandfather's letter in my hands. I'd had it framed and hung in my office, but sometimes I took it down just to hold it, to feel connected to him. "Daddy," Lily looked up from her book, "can we visit Grandpa William's grave today? I want to bring him flowers." My throat tightened. "Of course, baby girl. That's a wonderful idea." At the cemetery, we placed fresh flowers on his headstone. I put my hand on the cold marble and closed my eyes. "Thank you for saving us, Grandpa," I whispered. "I promise I'll use this gift the way you intended, to protect my family and help others protect theirs." "Why are you crying, Daddy?" Owen asked, tugging on my shirt. I lifted him up, pulling Lily close with my other arm. "These are happy tears, buddy. Because sometimes, even when bad people try to take everything from you, your family finds a way to fight back. And we won." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from a man I'd never met, a father the foundation had helped last week. He'd just won custody of his daughter after his ex-wife tried to erase him from her life. The message said, "Thank you for giving me hope when I had none left." I looked at my children, then at my grandfather's grave, then at the setting sun painting the sky orange and gold. Bradley and Veronica took my houses, my cars, my money, and almost took my kids. But they couldn't take what really mattered. They couldn't take my strength, my love, my grandfather's final gift. And that's what saved us all. I squeezed my children closer and smiled. We'd been broken, but we'd healed. We'd been knocked down, but we'd stood back up. And now, we were helping others do the same. Grandpa William would have been proud.